Jesus, we just come to you, God, Lord, and I thank you, God, so much for today.
Amen.
I thank you, Lord, just for your faithfulness in my life continually, God. Lord, I thank you even at most times when I don't deserve it, God, you still are faithful, Father,
Amen.
God. And it's not just my testimony, but it's everyone's testimony, Father, that you are continually faithful to us, oh God. Lord, in the times we doubt you, in the times we ignore you, the times that we just flat out don't believe you, despite what your word says, God, you are still faithful to us, Jesus.
Amen.
God, I pray that you'd help me get these few words across today. Lord, in the way that you want, in a way that would be pleasing to you, Father, in a way that would communicate your heart, God, and your desires. And Lord, I pray that you just speak to our hearts. God, I pray that you just keep speaking to mine, Father, and
Amen.
speak through me, Father. And we just pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. So, as I was saying, it's been a kind of hectic couple weeks for us. Last Friday morning when I got off of work, I drove the film KK's and I left my truck there. They took me to BART. I jumped on BART, went to the airport, jumped on a plane, went to Atlanta. And then Shelly picked me up and I had to drive 3 hours back from the airport to her house. And so it's been a little bit of a, hectic week. And when I get a chance to see people, I kind of take full advantage. And I go see everyone that I can. I drag Shelly along with me. And then there was so much to do with our truck and trailer I had to get done and kind of get everything situated. So it's been a really hectic week. And driving back, I'm like, Lord, I'm preaching Sunday. And I'm like, I don't have anything. Thought crossed my mind of maybe texting Carrie to say, hey, can I preach a different week? But then thought crossed my mind, well, God knew this is going to happen. And I know Carrie doesn't just say, well, maybe there and there. Like, I know she prays about it, so I'm like, okay, well, God, you know. But needless to say, it's still been like a challenging week for me to kind of get time alone with the Lord and get more than a couple minutes a day. And so the days, woke up early, I'd read my Bible, and we were driving, Shelly would read, and we talked for about an hour, we listened to sermons or whatever it may be. But I didn't have anything. I had nothing. There was nothing I could do. There was nothing that was coming on my mind. I'm like, God, I am totally lost. We're going to get there Friday late. And basically all we did, we drive, we take breaks, keep driving, stop, pull over, park at a truck stop, and jump in the trailer and go to sleep. And then wake up and do it all the next day. So it was just weird. So I would be driving, I'd be praying like, I got nothing. Absolutely nothing. So I was freaking out. And I'm like, every single week, it's either Ryan or Eli or Carrie or Steve preaching, they always have like this anointed word. And I'm like, I got nothing. But God kind of let me start reading the book of John again. And I haven't really been going front to back like I usually do. I kind of just been jumping around. God's been asking me to go in a sense. And I was like, I've read this so many times. And I got to John chapter 4 and kind of just something really stuck out to me. So if you want to turn to John chapter 4, the title of the message is, How Does Your Water Taste? Wednesday, Shelly and I were driving. She was talking about something. I just turned to her and I'm like, how does your water taste? And it was the title of the message. I was asking her what did it mean, but she's like, it tastes good. So we just
kept drinking. Right when I was drinking out of my water bottle, I was like, well, it's fine.
So I didn't say anything. I just kept driving like, well, all right, good. But
he eventually clarified.
Yeah, like the next day. But we'll read and then we'll get into it. So starting at I believe verse 1. Now when Jesus learned that the Pharisees heard that Jesus was making and baptizing more disciples than John, although Jesus himself did not baptize, I'm reading it out of the ESV, but only his disciples, he left Judea and departed again for Galilee. And he had to pass through Samaria. So he came to the town of Samaria called, I don't know how to say that word. How do you say it, Shelley? Sychar.
We'll go with that.
Near the field that Jacob had given to his son Joseph. Jacob's well was there. So Jesus, wearied as he was from his journey, was sitting beside the well, and it was about the 6th hour. A woman from Samaria came to draw water, and Jesus said to her, give me a drink. For his disciples had gone away into the city to buy food. The Samaritan woman said to him, how is it that you, a Jew, ask for a drink from me, a woman of Samaria? for Jews had no dealings with Samaritans. Jesus answered her, if you knew the gift of God and who it was that is saying to you, give me a drink, you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water. And the woman said to him, sir, you have nothing to draw water with, and the well is deep. Where do you get that living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob? He gave us this well, and he drank from himself, as did his sons and his livestock. And Jesus said to her, everyone who drinks of this water will be thirsty again. But whoever drinks of the water that I will give him will never be thirsty again. The water that I will give him will become in him a spring of water welling up to eternal life. And the woman said to him, sir, give me this water so that I will not be thirsty. I have to come here to draw water. And as a scripture, that's where we're going to end. But the question on my mind that God kept putting on my mind, not so much as a message, but a question for me was, how does your water taste, Omar? Where are you drawing your water from? And it's been a question it's been really sobering. It's been really just continually on my mind. And he's saying, Omar, how does your water taste? How does the water that you should be getting from me, but instead are getting from another well? How does it taste compared to what I've given you, what I have for you? And most of this message was, God, I want you to share your testimony of God's faithfulness to you. And as I share this, I want you guys to think of what God has done for you in the past. Think of how God's provided you. Think of where God's come through at the last moment, at the midnight hour, and where he's done incredible things. Because in my walk with God, it's been an endless thing of God just coming through over and over and over and over. Father-in-law Eric, he always tells us, like, I've never seen God take care of anyone like he takes care of you guys. Amen. Over and over. Amen. Amen. He's like, come on, Lord, what about me? But, it's been an amazing, and most of you know most of my story. I haven't always shared everything in detail, but Carrie especially knows just about every single thing about me. And obviously Shelly does. But it's just, God he brings us back to that place of remembrance. Amen. And that was the big problem with the Israelites, was they would forget what God did for them. They would forget, a lot of the people, God would forget what God did. Doubt comes from us forgetting what God has done in the past. Amen. Of what God's, willing to do for us. And we read the story of the Israelites and we're like, oh, these people, are they so dumb? They just keep doubting and walking away from God. But we have the entire Bible and we still find time to doubt. We still find ways to doubt. And I'm mostly just kind of bearing myself to you guys. I'm not saying that you guys, this is mostly just me. So I'm sharing with you my struggles and stuff I deal with. But from the moment I was saved, God has continually provided with me. When I first got saved, I was in a relationship with a girl. It was a relationship I should have never been with. It was before I was saved, and we struggled a lot with sexual immorality. I never told anyone, not even Phil, my best friend, knew. I told him later, but, it was something it was so hard for me. It was a huge struggle for me. And it wasn't until I completely just kind of kicked her out of my life that it went away. It was a big struggle, and it was like a continual. I would fast, and I'd be good for like 2 weeks, and then I'd fall again. It was just a continual thing. But God still kept that hunger in my heart for his word. I only worked like 15, 20 hours a week at Chili's that time of my life. So all day I just spent reading my Bible. I'd be on the floor reading, but I was still struggling with this. But I'm so thankful that God, kept me. Amen. He still kept that hunger in me. His grace was still allowing me to seek after him. Amen. And then one of my worldly illogical decisions I made was going to Summit. Going to a Bible school that wasn't like a certified school, or what is it called? Accredited school. It was more just a school to go learn about Jesus for 2 years. I was more excited to go. I'm like, yeah, I don't have to work for 2 years. I get to go just learn about God for 2 years. Sounds like a deal to me. But I had no money to go. So after I got accepted, I was like, okay, how am I going to pay for this? I applied for a scholarship with Times Square Church, and they provided half the tuition. They paid for half the tuition. Refuge paid for the rest. Oh, gosh. That first year. Everything you guys paid for would pay for the rest of my schooling. And it was just random times. One time, Steve tricked me. He said, "Hey, Omar, I need your help moving a dresser from a consignment store over here to the house." So I'm like, okay. So I went over. We took it upstairs. We're coming down. He gives me a check for $600. I'm like, dude, all I did was help you move a dresser. But it was just God continually providing for me over and over. That first year, you guys were I think I was there for about a week. And then out of a board meeting, you guys sent me $500. Check to go buy everything I needed for my dorm, snacks, whatever it was. Everyone did that for me, and it was just like, wow. Like, God, you continue to do it. Year kept going along. Anytime I needed something, it's like something would just arrive in the mail. I would never ask. I would never do anything. I just pray and something would come in the mail. I was going to go home for winter break, and then Deb and CJ offered to pay for my plane flight home. I forget exactly what happened, but they ended up not having to pay for it. But there was another couple that lives in Martinez that had strong connections with Times Square Church, and they paid for my flight home. Which actually, the way everything turned out was like amazing. Came home, went back,
Sorry, he's okay. He went down the wrong way.
It went down the wrong way, it's fine. It makes them stronger. But, I go back to school, and it was getting towards the end of the year. Everything was going on. At this time, at the beginning of the year, me and Shelly already knew we liked each other, but God asked us to put it aside after a while, and so we didn't have a conversation with each other at all. But it was just something at the end of the year. Her parents, I kept in contact with her parents, obviously, because I was like, I need them to like me a lot. But they had asked me, they said, "Hey, do you want to come to Alabama with us for a few days after school year's over?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I want to go to Alabama." Go hang out with you guys. And, I got a way to go, and they were taking me, but I was like, I need a plane flight home. And then I called Deb, and CJ used his points to get me a flight from Alabama back to home for the summer. And that was, it was incredible. And just a little side story, just about how God has always cared for the little things. Even the things that really mean, overall, probably don't mean much. But growing up, I'd always liked the Atlanta Braves. They were always on TV. I'd go home, I'd watch them. And I was like, man, I want to go to a Braves game so bad in Atlanta, but I'll never go. But her dad's like, hey, we're going to a Braves game. And so he took me to a Braves game. But it was little things. I was like, this.
And they won.
And they won. It was cool. But it's just like, man, God, you care about even little things.
Amen.
Yeah.
So I come home, and for some crazy reason, I was like, I want to work outside this summer. And then, so within 2 days, I got a job that I absolutely hated. Hated the job so much. But these guys I work with taught me how to work hard. They wouldn't let me slack off. They wouldn't let me kind of take breaks. And so I worked with them, and they taught me a good work ethic. Little did I know how much that would come in handy. The money wasn't even good. But, I didn't know how much that was going to affect me later in life at the same time. And so going back second year, I'm like, how am I going to pay for school second year? And then I applied for another scholarship with Times Square Church. They paid for about, I want to say, $4,000 of it. And then you guys continue to pay more for school. But there's still a small balance I had left. And so they opened up an opportunity for us to do like a work study, to work on campus doing stuff. And so I had to do maintenance, because of course that's the only place they're going to put me. But I had to do that as much as I could every week for money, and ended up paying, I think I had like $800 left that I paid for when I got home from school. And then something crazy happened where God was setting us up before I was even saved. I used to work at a retirement home over there off the bypass in Balfour. And I became friends with this lady named Linda. And it wasn't for any particular reason. When I got there, they were expecting her to die, to be honest. She had a broken leg, like she's going to die soon. And I go in, and I like to make jokes, and so I started joking with her, and she didn't really have any family. And she started getting better as I started talking to her more, taking care of her. And soon as she was walking again, they weren't expecting her to get back on a walker. They thought she was only going to be put in a wheelchair. But I wasn't safe at this point. But I'd spend time with her. And then through a bunch of horseplay and stuff, I got fired from that job. But it actually led to me, start searching for God. And then she eventually moved to a different place in Concord, actually down the street from Sophia's old house. And so I go visit her like once a week, and I watch movies with her. I spend time with her. And then I stopped for like 3 months, and then she went on hospice. And she called me and told me, so I started going back once a week, and then miraculously she got better and came off of hospice.
Wow, thank God.
And then I left to school. Once I got saved when I was going to visit her, and then I started watching Christian movies with her every week, and just spending time with her. And not for any particular reason, just because she didn't have family. She didn't have any kids. She didn't have a really good relationship with other cousins. She had one cousin that took care of her all the time. But I go spend time with her. And then eventually I went to school. She started getting really bad just because we couldn't ever talk. I remember she wrote me a card when I was in school and sent it to me, and I could not read a word it said. It was just shaky the whole way. But she wrote this long card. I was like, I don't know what this says, but it's really nice to send it to me. But I came home from school. I went to visit her a couple times, and then
I got to go meet her too.
yeah, I took Shelly to go meet her. But after school, I was going to move to Alabama, so I was never going to see her. But during my second year of school, after we made the final decision where I was moving to Alabama, we had a spring break. I went up to Rochester, New York. It was like 0 degrees. But anyway, on the way there, I was talking to Becky. And she's like, hey, we found this trailer. It's a great size. It was a single wide trailer. You guys all saw when you came to Alabama. I found this great trailer. This lady's going to give it to us for a discount because you're going to live next to Eric's sister. And I was like, sweet. Now I got a place to live. I got no money, but I got a place to live. I was like, but I need a car. And then Shelly's aunt, someone had given her a van that was going to be easier for her to use because she had a lot of health problems. And so someone gave her this van, so she's like, hey, I want to give you my car. And I'm like, what? I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll take a car. So now I got a place to live and a car, but I got no money. So that same weekend when we got back, I found out that Linda, the old lady I visited, she passed away. Her cousin texted me and said, hey, Omar, I just want to let you know that Linda's passed away. We're going to have a funeral at this time. Can you come? I said, oh, I can't. I'm in Pennsylvania. I don't live there anymore. And then she's okay. Well, she's like, I think that's the last I heard from her. And a few weeks later, when we got our phones back, I looked at my text. She's like, hey, give me a call when you can. I called her and she said, Linda put you in her will. And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, she put you in her will, so I want to send you this check. And I'm like, okay. I'm just sitting there. I'm like, I don't know how much money this is. Because she would joke around that she put me in her will before. And I'm like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
You're just saying that, say that. Like, she was, there was a one point, it's kind of weird she had a crush on me. But, so I thought she just said stuff just to say stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we get to Alabama. And I still haven't got this check in the mail. But she told me it's for $5,000.
Wow.
And so we get there. There's no check in the mail. Got it sent to Alabama. We had a little bit of money, and I was like, I gotta tie this money, but I won't have any money after this. And Shelly's like, no, you have to tithe it. You have to tithe it. And so obviously we tithe the money that Sunday, and then the next day the check came in the mail, $5,000. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. I took it to the bank to go open an account, and she's like, this is your check? And I'm like, yeah, is that bad? She didn't believe me, but
Wow.
so then comes the job search. I started searching for jobs, and Eric has a couple friends that said they might can get me a job, but it never worked out. I was looking for jobs, could never find a job. And then I finally started looking for landscaping jobs, so I was like, I gotta get a job. So 4 months in, I still don't have a job. We're engaged to get married in like 2 months, and I still don't have a job. I applied for a job that I really didn't want, because I knew I was gonna hate the work, but I applied and I got the job like right as the money was running out from paying bills. And so I was going to need more money, and I got the job right on time.
Wow.
So God came through with the job. The guy ended up paying me a little bit more than he usually pays everyone else just because I was married, or I was getting married. And he actually ended up he's a Christian too. So that helped as well. And I had a job for about a year, and I really did not like the job at all. But, I stayed there, and actually ended up when I quit, his wife that works with Shelly's dad ended up telling Shelly's dad that I was one of the biggest blessings they had, and they were always thankful I worked there. So that was really cool for me. But then we got married wedding day. And Sophia made us this beautiful box where you put all the cards in and stuff. And so on the way to the hotel, we're like opening the cards, and there are just loads of cash in here. People were giving me tons of money. Devin C gave me $500. Other people gave me $500, and we're sitting there on the hotel in a 30-minute ride. And I'm driving, and Shelly's counting everything, and there's like $5,000 in there. And it was so amazing just for Shelly and us to get moving together. So we got to go buy everything we needed for the house because I didn't have nothing. I had like Fritos and water because I ate dinner at their house every night. So I didn't really need much. But it was just God continued providing for us and giving us more than we've ever needed. And that December, after we got married, I couldn't work because it was raining every day. I think I worked like a total of 10 days in a month. And so I didn't get paid for the days that didn't work. So I think we borrowed like $80 from our parents. But other than that, like we had everything paid for, everything was good. And it was just God continually providing. Like the 4 months I didn't work, I got like odd jobs with some of the friends that, helped me. And so that was really cool. And it's just continually, God just providing money for us. And then Shelly's pregnant, obviously, at that time. And we're like, oh my God, I don't want her to work. But I don't make enough money for her to stay home from work. I don't make enough money for this. So we please need something to happen. And then we helped out with the camp. It was called Camp Hope. It was in foster child camp. They come and spend time with their siblings. And someone had donated 63 acres to our church. So I had a big farmhouse, and I had a little single wide trailer like we lived in at the time. And then the people, they asked us, hey, we talked to the church. We want someone to live on this property full time. We want you guys to move in. There's no rent. We just need you to cut the grass. That's it. And so right after we prayed, and God, we need something just for you to, so Shelly could stay home from work, and that was the answer.
And they were the same people Omar worked for with those odd jobs.
Yeah.
Wow.
Before we got married.
And the property was gorgeous.
Mm-hmm. And so every Saturday I have to cut the grass for like 6 or 7 hours. But Shelly didn't have to work. I mean, she got to quit her job a month before Samuel was here. And because I didn't get a raise at work. I still had to work the same job. Hated it, but I was just so thankful that I'm like, man, I'm making $12 an hour, and we're living on 63 acres with a bunch of cows. We don't have any neighbors or nothing. And it was just like, wow, God continually takes care of us. We live there for free. All we had to pay was utilities. And so that was just God doing it again. And Sammy's getting ready to be born. And we're praying. Because we moved in there in February. Sammy was here in July, right?
Yeah, March.
So we're praying, like, God, I need a new job because we're starting to go out of town a lot. I don't want to stay out of town. I want to stay out of town and work from Monday to Friday, come home on the weekends or whatever. And 2 weeks before Samuel was born, I got a job with an attorney. Shelly's old boss, and Shelly can tell you the story of why he hired me.
Yeah, so I told, this guy was a Mormon, but believes in God, not our God, but he has that same, he's like, wow, he heard our testimony and couldn't believe our story that we never kissed before we got married. I mean, he just couldn't believe our story. And I talked very highly of Omar, and he was leaving the probate office where I was working to start his own practice in immigration law. And he knew my husband was Hispanic. And he goes, hey, do you think your husband would be interested in being like an assistant with the law office? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe. Because we never talked about anything like that before. And he's like, well, just talk to him. Tell him, come back to me, let me know what you think, or what he thinks. So I did, and Omar's like, yeah, that's cool. I mean, he hated his job, so I think he was looking for me. And he was hired before he ever met his boss.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, he invited us over for dinner. But it was funny because like I just have the impression that I need to hire you, because he hardly had any money to hire anyone, so he wanted to do it part time. I was like, yeah, I'll take part time. I'll go part time at my job. He won't even care. And he will, but he'll do it. But by then he's like, I have to hire you full time. He's like, I'll call you Sunday and I'll let you know. So I went to church Sunday, and we were praying. We prayed that morning in church, and I call him. Oh, he called me that Sunday night. He's like, hey man, got a full time position for you. Go to preach for 2 weeks. If they fire you for preaching 2 weeks, just come to work tomorrow.
Wow.
And so with this job, it was kind of like, we're hoping we're gonna have enough money at the end of the month to keep me on staff. But two weeks before Samuel was born, I had this new job that I've been praying for. It's one that I wouldn't have to be so exhausted when I got home every day from work. And so a week and 2 days into the job, I'm like, hey, Sammy's about to be born. Like, take off, man. Take off a week, take off 2 weeks. I don't care. You're getting paid. One of the greatest bosses I ever had.
Right up the street, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's 5 minutes away from the house, 5-10 minutes away from the house. So Sammy was born. I got to stay there home for a week. There was a lot of times he's like, hey, I'm going out of town. Just stay home. I'll give you some things, do them, and then you're done. And so it was an amazing job where he was just like, I did what I had to do. I did what he wanted me to do. Then he's like, take off. I don't care.
Wow.
So it paid for. I think I took like a 50-cent an hour cut. But you know, it paid for everything. It took care of us. We had everything we needed. From wedding money, I was able to buy a new car because our little car that her aunt gave me just went downhill real quick. So we bought this Buick LeSabre for $1,000 cash, and it was one of the best cars we've ever had. That thing was like a big boat, but it ran amazing. It ran great. It took great care of us. And then I'm starting to get to a point where I need to get a truck. And my dad's like, here, I'll give you mine. So my dad drove from Arizona to Alabama and just gave me his truck.
Wow.
My little red truck that I drive to work every day. It was just God continually just providing.
Amen.
Opening doors and providing for us. So a few months down the road, January of this year, right? Yeah, January this year, our church starts doing the 21 days of prayer. So I start going every night, and I was like, God, I have to go every night because I need to see you move. I need to see you do something. And this was never on my mind, but I felt like God was putting it on my heart. Because obviously my heart was always wanting to come back to California. That was always my desire. It's always what I wanted. Everyone that knew me knew that.
Everyone in Alabama knew that. They hated it. They're like, no, you can't ever leave.
So everyone knew we wanted to do that. And this was not something I brought up to God about doing. I got to a point where I was like, I may never go back. I don't know what's ever going to happen. I'm going to be here at least 10 more years probably. But God started putting something on my heart about California, about praying for California. And I got to the point where I was praying about moving back to California because I didn't say nothing to Shelly about it yet. I was praying about it for about a week. And I just couldn't shake it, so I told her about it, and then she started praying about it. And by the end of the 21 days of prayer, we're like, all right, we're going. And I mentioned you about it to pray, and a couple people.
And prior to that, when you moved to the part of this that's huge to me is when you initially felt like he was going to move out to Alabama. He said, "I just feel like it's for 2 years. I don't know if that's God. We'll find out. But I feel like there's a 2 year, like that whole 2 year thing." And so when he said, "If you're getting anything, will you let me know?" I said, all I got is this is the first thing that came to me is this would be almost 2 years. Almost. It wasn't exactly in that time frame.
So I texted him like, hey, maybe God spoke to her and told her.
All that ever came to me was that was what you initially said.
Yeah. So at this
a year
point,
to two was actually.
We finally made a decision. I was like, all right, cool. We'll go in June or I'll go in April. I'll start working. I'll get whatever we need, yada, yada, yada. And then my boss comes up to me the next week. He's like, hey, Omar, I don't have any money to pay you next month.
So
And I'm like, oh, well, we're just moving out. We just moved out. So I'm not, it was great. The one thing that was awesome about this was my boss. He'd been telling me, he's like, I want to be a man that has like unshakable faith, that doesn't really get shaken by these kind of things. And through this whole time of him basically saying you're not gonna have a job, and me saying, I don't know, whatever, who cares? we're just gonna move now. He got to see everything because I was talking to him all the time. He came out with the testimony like, man, I've never seen faith like this. And so for me, that was huge. So I told Shelly, I called Shelly like half an hour later. I'm like, hey, I'm not gonna have a job next month. And this is like, so I only had like 2 weeks left on this job. And she's like, well, you'll never guess what happened. I'm like, what? She's like, Dad texted me and said that we could stay with her while, we're looking for a place. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I hadn't even told her I was gonna have a job. And I was like, do you think they'll let us go in 2 weeks? So that night we got on the phone with them. They're like, yeah, of course. And Dad was like, yeah, it'll make me clean. So our plan was set. I'm like, we're moving in 2 weeks. Because at first it was just going to be me. I was going to stay with my grandma or whatever. But then I was like, well, I'll just take Shelly. She's not going to work here anyway. I might as well take her there where she's not going to work either. Because we knew that she was supposed to be a stay-at-home mom. It wasn't just because she didn't want to work. She actually likes working. I don't know why. But she does. So we sold everything. Everything we owned, we sold. We kept our clothes, our dog, the kid. Shelly's clothes took up most of everything. And we kept a couple vital things. I would try to throw away a bunch of our relationship stuff.
So he wrote me all these letters, we'd written back and forth, and he tries to throw, everything out. And I'm like...
Because I'm more of someone I'm like, just throw it away. Let's just throw everything away. It's just stuff.
But he wouldn't throw away his books.
It wasn't the journal
I did. He just threw away our letters.
It was just everything.
No, but that's still part of
So she eventually said no. I said okay. She got mad. I downsized half my books. All right. I gave away like 100 books.
Wow.
So we're packing, and then we call Sophia. We're like, hey, Sophia, what are the chances of you coming out here and driving back to California with us?
Can we add to that part? Because Sophia was going to come out at Thanksgiving, and she felt like God told her no, that she wasn't supposed to.
And I was so mad at her, too.
That she wasn't supposed to come out, and we're like, well, we can't tell her that it's not from God, so okay, that's fine, don't come out. But she had this ticket left over.
That she had a year to use.
Yeah. And we just happened to fall into that time period before.
It was coming right up on the cusp of when it would expire, right?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
And she had been praying.
I purchased it in May, so I had to use it by May. Yep.
So one of our only stipulations was that we have to stop every 5 minutes to look at stuff. But anyway, so she flew out. We picked her up. We hung out in Alabama for like 2 days, and then we were gone. So we're finishing the night before we moved. This was a crazy 2 weeks because they were moving to a new house. Shelly's aunt had just passed away.
The funeral was 4 days before you left her.
Yeah.
But that whole time, that was God's complete mercy. That's when she left. That's when she passed away because she was been sick for ever. For the last 100 years, she's been sick. But she couldn't hardly do anything. She was always in pain. And she finally got to the point where she's like, I'm done fighting. I'm ready to go. And so it was hard for us, but we had to tell Becky actually told her, which is great, that we were leaving California before we could. But it was gonna be hard for us because I knew she was gonna be really sad. And so we told her, and she's like, "Well, do you have a job?" I'm like, "No, I don't got a job. I'm doing what God's asking me to do. That's all I know to do." And then Sophia texted me. And she's like, "Hey, I think I met Ryan once. I came to visit, but I never really talked to him. He messaged me every once in a while, Messenger. And she's like, "Hey, Ryan said you can apply, to work with him. They're hiring superintendents." And I didn't want to work construction. I do the labor type of work. I hated it. I was so sick of it. But Carrie also, well, I think you should work with Ryan. She said it to me. So I'm like, okay, cool. So Shelly's at home. We get a resume together. I sent it to him. And so that little part was over. But going back to Shelly's aunt, she was getting ready to pass away. And they're like, okay, it might be like a month. I'm like, well, we're going to be gone when she passed away. For us, it would have been great if we'd be there. She'd have to see us leave and we could go to her funeral. And I don't know where she just started declining real quick. One of the great blessings for me was I was able to help take care of her in the last few days. So that was really cool for me because I was like, she had a rough life. She had 10 miscarriages. And so I was talking to her, and because she asked me, how do you feel that I'm on hospice? I'm like, I'm happy for you, to be honest. Like, you know, obviously it's going to be sad that you're going to die, but you get to go to heaven, you get to see your 10 kids that you've never seen.
Amen.
And so her passing away didn't make me cry. Just the fact that she was done being sick, that she got to see 10 kids that she's never seen, that she had to deal with losing. That's what always, you know, brought me to tears with her. And so her last few days when she was just so doped up on medicine and just still in so much pain, even when we touch her, you know, she was like just out completely. I was like, man, I get to help usher someone into the kingdom of God. And so that was it was such a blessing for me because they had so much stuff going on anyway. Shelley was dealing with Sammy. And so I just, you know, I got to just hang out there, and then we all got to hang out together when we were all there with her. And she was scared of dying alone. I know she was, but it was awesome because she had her best friend come down from Tennessee. And so she was surrounded by people. So it sounds bad, but okay, that chapter's over. You know, we get to kind of put this to rest, and then it was just focusing on me.
That would have been me.
And so the last night before we're leaving the property, the Camp Oak property where we lived, and there's a gate to get in. And they left already. I'm behind them. I'm locking the gate, closing it. Close the gate behind us. And it's like right as the sunset, it just setting. It's just coming down. And I'm like, wow, this season of our life is like, what a perfect ending to the season of our life. Just being able to see the sunset and this whole season of our life. And so I just stood there and I just started worshiping God, like raised my hands, and I was like, this is incredible. Like, what a crazy 2 years of my life almost. Almost 2 years. And so we start to move. We were driving the next day. We got both our cars slammed full of stuff. I got the dog with me in the truck. And so, like I said, we're stopping every 5 minutes because Sophia's like, I want to take a picture with that tree. I want to take a picture of that bush. But
we definitely get some of the best food on that trip.
Yeah, yes. we stopped in different places, ate stuff. We ate alligator. We stopped in New Mexico to see Shelly's step-grandma that she hadn't seen in forever. We don't know if we're going to see her. Like, we just stopped and see her. We stopped in Phoenix. Did we stop anywhere else? Like crazy out of the way. So, 4 days, driving like 14 hours a day. Oh, yeah, we saw a friend in Dallas, so we'd gone out of the way. We took the longer route and then went more out of our way to see people. Visit. So we were driving like 14, 15 hours a day. So we're getting to El Paso, Texas, like at 11 at night.
It was 1.
And then we're right next to the border. And this is a really funny story. Sophia's like delirious. And then she's like, they're going to get me and send me back. I'm like, you're not even Mexican. But it was really funny because she was like dead serious. And I'm like, what is wrong with this girl? And so we get there, and it's just a heck. By the time we get to Phoenix, me and Shelly have been in the car with Sammy screaming his lungs out.
Since Tucson.
For 2.5 hours, just because he was so
done.
He was so done at being in the car, and I was just like, ah. And then, the whole time we're getting ready to move, me and Shelly never fought once. We never. There's time I tried to fight. I was so mad. I was so irritated. I was trying to start arguments with her. That's how bad it was. And after like 5 minutes trying to do it, we both start laughing.
I wouldn't respond, and he would just keep going, and I'm like, I'm not gonna answer right now. And then he just started laughing, and then we couldn't help ourselves. Really funny.
So, God was just keeping us faith because Eric, he was like, all right, you're gonna get in arguments, you're gonna get fed up with each other, you're gonna get sick of each other, just be prepared. And so I was like, okay, but we never did. God kept us from doing that. I kicked a couple boxes, this and stuff like that, but other than that, and then we met this really nice lady named Barbara. She came and bought a bunch of our stuff, but she didn't have any money, but we made friends with her. But it was just so cool to see how God was, preparing us. Until after, like 2 days before we leave, Phil sends me $1,000 in the mail. But it was just continually God's faithfulness to just provide and said, oh, I got this, don't worry. I got everything you're ever going to be in need of. So we're driving to New Mexico, and then I get a call from Shane's Construction. Like, hey, we looked at your resume, we want you to come in for an interview. I'm like, what? Because I still don't have a job at this point. I got nothing. And I'm like, okay, yeah, for sure. And then so that was like an amazing moment for me. I'm just like, yeah, I might have something. And then so we finally get to Brentwood. And this time I talked to Ryan and said, hey, come in Friday. I want you to come in on Friday. Had to do an interview. And it was Friday I went in, right? Mm-hmm. So we get to California.
On Tuesday.
We get to California Tuesday, and we kind of just hang out for a few days, go see people or whatever. Friday I go in, and I'm just talking with Ryan. We hardly talked about the job at all. We're talking about more moving, about God, and then he brings in one of the highest senior project managers. He comes in and talks to me for like 5 minutes, and then he leaves. And then Ryan just felt like God's telling him to really go to bat for me to get me a job there. Then so I'm feeling good. I'm excited, but I'm not really sure. I'm like, because they were looking for someone with 7 years experience. The other guy came in and said, do you know how to read construction plans? I'm like, no, not really. He's like, okay, well, all right. And then so Monday, Shelly's on the phone with her mom. What do you know? You're on the phone with someone. No, because they didn't know. You're on the phone with someone. They called me. I didn't answer it. I didn't hear it, but I got a voicemail saying, hey, we want to offer you a job. Just look at the contract. We're setting up the money, and yada yada yada. I'm just sitting there like, oh my goodness, I've been here a week and I got a job. But it wasn't even something.
Double what Hitch dropped in.
Yeah.
In Alabama.
And so I was like, wow, this is unreal. I get a job where someone's looking for 7 years experience and I have none. Mm-hmm. And it was just one of the biggest ones that God and said, I got this. I got this.
You came in as a boss. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what's crazy.
And so, I get a good job. I get a great guy to teach me who's really rough around the edges, but he wants to teach me. He wants to teach me how to do everything. He's always says, like, I want to make you better than I am. I want to teach you better. He's like, I'm going to make you this if it kills me. But he's like, by the time I'm done with you, you're going to be one of the best. And so it was hard work from at times, but because he's bipolar, but it was just God putting people to take care of me. God putting people to train me, to teach me, and God setting everything up for me. And then so one thing I was starting to get stressed out about was having to travel for work. And Shelly brought up, hey, what if we get a travel job? I'm like, you're nuts. We ain't doing that. Like, I told her, like, no, you're crazy.
You shut me down so fast.
Yeah. I shut her down, like, there's no way we're doing that. And so she didn't say another word. Never brought it up again. Because I was worried about having to travel, because all these guys were gone from home 5 days a week, went home one day, went back to work the Sunday. I'm like, I can't do that. I'm like, I'll find another job. I can't do that. I can't stay away from her and Sammy for 5 days a week. It wouldn't be worth it to me. So there I was. I'm like, God, what am I gonna do? Because what if I can't say no? I can't say no. I'm not gonna go somewhere. They're like, well, go find another job. And then God started changing my heart. And I was like, oh man. And so he kind of started changing my heart about living in a travel trailer, and I'm like, I don't want to do this. Like, it was something that was really hard because I wanted nothing to do with it. And then like a week later, after I keep praying about it, I talked to you. I'm like, hey, what did I say to you?
I don't remember.
It was born just along the lines like, hey, I've been kind of thinking about more and more about living in a travel trailer. And still just every part of me wants nothing to do with it. But I was like, well, at least this way I'll never, ever have to leave them, for a long period of time, which is what I needed. And so we prayed and we prayed, and then we finally said, okay, this is what we're going to do. And I'm like, oh. I'm so stressed. I still want nothing to do with it. But I'm getting more, at that time, I'm getting more caught up in what people are going to think about me. What friends or family, what everyone's going to think about me. Like, people are like, you dummy, why are you doing this? Da 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 da. You can't believe you live in a trailer. You're so poor. And I'm like, oh, what are people going to think about me? So that's the one thing I'm getting caught up on the most. that's the one thing that's the biggest struggle for me was caring what other people think. And there's so much other things in life I care nothing about what other people think, which is really funny. So we get to this point, and the people that had paid for Shelly to go to school, named Will and Kathleen, Kathleen's the lady in hospice right now, they paid for her to go to school. Because you said you were going to use...
Can I share this?
Yeah.
Part? Okay, so Summit was $6,000 a year, covered everything. It was just the $6,000. Well, someone had set aside a college fund for me years ago that had $12,000 in it, and so I'm like, perfect, I have it right here. And then Will and Kathleen go to my parents, and they're like, we want to pay for Shelly to go to school wherever she wants. And this is like a week after I've applied to Summit, and I'm like, okay, well that's awesome. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, but God, I have the money. Why does this matter? I don't totally understand. So anyway, that money's still set aside, and then moving on.
Well, then they paid for 2 years of school, and I remember second year, that kid was trying to get Shelly, do scholarships, do this, I don't want to. But anyway, they paid for school, and I talked to Shelly, I'm like, well, how are we going to do this with, because I was like, we got to get a truck to haul it, we got to get a trailer, we're going to spend all this money, what are we going to do? And I was like, what if we use that money that you had? And she's like, I've been thinking about that too. And so, talked to your parents about it, and figure out how much money there is.
It had been converted into gold just over time in case the economy were to crash. We didn't want to lose the cash. We wanted to have something in solid form.
So the money that she was going to use to go to school actually decreased, but it ended up being able to cover for everything we needed.
Wow.
So we're looking at trucks, but I'm like, we have to pay California taxes.
We're looking for every way around that.
And I was like, well, we could establish residency in Alabama and do that, but then I felt God was like, no, it's lying, it's not honest, and I'm like, oh. So, thankfully, Shelly she knows what we need to do all the time, like the right thing to do. She always wants to do the right thing because she's such a rule follower. It helps me out, but we made a decision that's what we're gonna do, and we're like, it's a Thursday before we're doing the grand opening over here at San Leandro. And then her dad, it's funny because her dad's the one that found out first. So it was great. Her dad calls us and puts on three-way, and he's like, hey, so Will and Kathleen, they have this 34-foot Airstream they want to give to you guys for free.
So God.
And I'm stressing out of my mind because of the store and other stuff.
And we hadn't got approved for a loan for a trailer at this point.
Yeah, because they're like, you don't have comparable credit because you haven't had credit for that long. You never had any debt, so we can't give you this. And everything I saw was like 10.4%. I'm like, that's insane. Yeah. And so her dad's like, he's like, I've never seen this, guys. I've never seen God just continues to do this for you.
That's so good.
And I'm like, this is crazy. So she sent me pictures, but now I'm thinking, okay, how much does the trailer weigh? What's it gonna take to tow? Because we've been looking at a couple of trucks. But all these trucks, at the price range, they could only haul between 8,000 and 9,000 pounds. And I'm like, that's not gonna do it. This trailer weighs at least 8,000. Fully loaded, it's 9,400 pounds. And so we're looking at trucks. We can't find anything. And then I'm so frustrated because I'm dealing with work. I'm kind of being mean to her sometimes. She's telling me about these trucks. I'm like, that's not what it can haul. We can't do it. And then they go to this place in Alabama called Tallahassee. And so they get there, and
this is a friend
you
of
can
my
tell the
mom's.
story because you know better.
Go ahead.
So we pull in and Jimmy says, okay, I know you're looking for this kind of truck, but to find them, the price is like $50,000. So there's this other truck I want you to take a look at. It's way bigger.
He didn't really even say
But
that.
he was like, he didn't think that they would want something that big, but it was a great price, and so he shows that, and we both look at it and we're like, let's go for a ride. And
It's like a commercial vehicle.
yeah,
It's
and
huge.
it was exactly, it could pull 15,000 pounds.
Wow.
Versus the others that 10 for 10, and it
And it was
can
a
I
better
tell them
deal
how
than-
much?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the blue book, the retail market was 41,000, and they got it for 31,900.
Oh, 31?
Wow.
Yeah,
And
that's a good buy.
And
Wow.
that was really, he just opened that door. You didn't search. You looked
Yeah, that's
online and
awesome.
stuff, but really the first car.
Wow.
was-
Man, and so it was like overkill of what we needed. Bro, this God's like, I'm just gonna give you more than you need.
Amen.
Like I'm gonna take care of you. I'm gonna give you
Amen.
enough, and then if I want to give you more, I'll give you more.
Amen.
And so, I mean, the truck can haul 15,000. It could put 4,500 in the bed of the truck alone.
It
And-
fits Sammy. I mean, it's double cab, so
It's
there's
got
room for two
it's great
baby
size. We
seats
can fit
for-
3 kids back there.
Wow.
If we need to, we can fit 3 people up front and 3 people in back. But it was just like, man, there's a total headache with the credit union and dealing with the dealership. They're not sending that stunk.
But God was good. And all
But God
of
was
that.
good.
Yeah.
It came through. It all happened. All worked out good.
Amen.
And we, because of the money, because we didn't have to put a down payment down on a trailer, we had the money to pay California taxes, no problem.
Oh wow.
We only
And
spent
get the
$12 over what we could, like what our gross amount was. We spent $12 on
to
that.
get new tires,
To get
and
new
new
tires,
brakes
new
on the
brakes.
trailer, everything.
And
And
then
then we had to
everything
spend
for the car.
$12
Wow.
because everything else was covered.
So good.
So one guy I worked with he was a trucker for a long time. So before I got to Alabama, I called him like, hey, I gotta go pick up the truck and trailer. Do you want to help me so you can kind of show me how to drive it good?
And this guy he met at the job he hated, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is the guy. He sold us our car for $1,000. He likes to get older cars, fix them up, sell them. It's just like a hobby of his. It's not really for profit. So he sold us this car for not even a profit. I think he sold us less than he spent on it. But he always likes to take care of me and look out for me. So that was always a blessing. So he came with me. He showed me how to drive it. He talked to me different ways of making sure I drive it good, not side swiping cars.
Wow.
We're the size of a semi, basically.
Yeah, I think we're like a foot shorter than a semi with truck and trailer combined.
Wow.
The trailer itself is a school bus. It's the size of a school bus.
Okay. Wow.
So they're pulling the school bus.
So
Wow.
we get there, we're practicing, and Shelly's stressing out because she's like, "You're gonna hit something."
That's
But
more my mom.
well,
I
her
had
mom.
so much anxiety, you guys.
I bet.
And yeah, I told Eric, I said, I can feel my blood pressure. I'm so nervous about them. Because I know I probably couldn't drive that
Oh,
thing.
I
So I'm
can-
thinking,
I know.
he's only 27. He's going to wreck it. Anyway.
I had driven
I
trailers
should have
before,
confidence.
but just
Yeah.
never that big.
Yeah.
So once he teach me, I practice. I'm like, "Oh, that's a piece of cake. I got it." So we're setting up everything to leave. We're getting everything. We get to see people. We get to hang out with people and just have a good time. I wish you could have stayed longer, which would have been nice. And then, so they're willing to take Sammy, keep him for a few days. We had to pull their arm to do it.
Yeah.
Really hard.
But it was great because Sammy would have went crazy on the road for
That's
that
right.
long.
That's right.
So Tuesday, we leave and CJ texts us, "Hey, there's this amazing barbecue place, supposed to be the best barbecue in the country in Memphis." And we're like, let's just go.
Wow.
So I get into Memphis, and I'm driving this massive trailer.
This is terrible if you've not driven there.
It's horrible.
The roads are always under construction. It's skinny. There's lots of semis. And it's
So
It's
it's
not
awful in
either.
a car.
I got into one sticky situation where I had to kind of go like this with the trailer. Thankful, I was like, because we're sitting in traffic there. I'm like, I don't know if I can make it, but then I saw a semi truck. I'm like, okay, this won't be so bad. And so we made that turn. I was like, okay, that's the first big test.
Yeah.
Wow.
Unfortunately, we didn't get to eat there because the parking lot was full and there was nowhere to park this thing because you park it takes like 7 parking spaces.
Wow.
And there's just no parking around. I'm like, okay. So we had to get back on the road. We drove for a couple more hours. Stopped at a truck stop. Right? We finally found one that had open space.
It took us forever.
We slept. It was like 30-something degrees that night.
Yikes.
And then I woke up. I told Shell, I'm like, I'm probably going to wake up like at 4, I'm guessing. I didn't put an alarm or anything. I woke up like at 3:55. Woke her up when we just got in the truck and went. But the truck hauled the trailer easily. It was no problem. It was just like, man, God, like I couldn't imagine doing this with a truck that could barely haul it.
And it became like our baby. It's almost like our kid because it went through 2 owners previously with no problem. So it's not like a limit. It doesn't. People aren't getting rid of it because it's a bad truck. And I'm like, it's like our baby because we've seen God. It's already had to go through 2 people to get it to us, and just it's perfect. It does everything we need it to do. Not great gas mileage, but that's small.
But hauling a 8 to 9,000 pound trailer, we got like 11 miles to the gallon. I'm like, man, that's awesome for hauling that big of a load. And so once we got,
That's sad, but it's true. That's really good, but that's sad.
Yeah.
and then we drove the majority of the day. We stopped in Amarillo, Texas, and froze. It was like 19 degrees that night. But the cool thing was we could just stop, jump in the trailer, and go to sleep. So everything was good. We had a great time. It was the first time really being able to spend time together because of work. Just us and such a long time. So having 4 days kind of to ourselves was really nice. Just talking. And so we got back Friday. And so it was just so nice to be back. But I'm like, man, the Airstream was like it's in immaculate condition. The guy's always taking care of it. But I mean, to think that before we were ever born, that this trailer was made and God knew it was going to be ours.
Amen.
God had, because the week before, someone went up to the door and offered him $14,000 for the trailer. He said no. And to think that he gave it to us for free, just,
Amen.
God.
it's God. And to think the truck, everything worked out exactly for us because I was willing to say, okay, reluctantly I'll do what you want me to do, even at that point. But just watching God take care of us over and over and over and over.
And it was funny because our prayers were really simple. We'd pray about it. We didn't have any specifics we told God. We're like, Lord, please bring us the truck and trailer you want. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
And that was it.
That's
and
it.
he
Amen.
did more than
That's it.
that.
Amen.
And so thinking of all this stuff, thinking of everything God has done, thinking of all this, I always seem to ask myself, Omar, how do you let yourself still get stagnant in your walk? Still get to a point where, not in a sense ignoring God, but not giving him what you used to give him. Not giving him the effort, the time, the desire that you would always give him before. Like, how do you let yourself get to this point? And that's where the question came from, is that, Omar, how does your water taste? How does the water taste that you're using? Not so much to even satisfy, but to fill up your day, your mental aspect of your day, your spiritual life. I'm not talking about like crazy things. I'm not talking about like crazy sin or anything, but just little things that trip us up in our walk with God, little things that take our attention away from God. And it was just like, I was like, is there anything in this world that compares to what I have to offer you? I have opened up the heavens for you, yet you still do not give me a full commitment. You still play games, entertain these things that cause a hindrance in your walk with me. And these are things God's asking me. And so I look back at the things God has done for me, and I wonder, how do I let myself get away with these things? Like, how am I okay with this? How am I okay with kind of getting to that point where I just get too comfortable? I think, well, tomorrow, and tomorrow becomes next week, and next week becomes next month. And I get to a point, I'm like, what is going on with me? And then me and Shelly talk, I'm like, because the one thing is still like, man, what are people going to think about me living in not even a single wide trailer that's nice and big, but a trailer. And then God's like, what does it matter? You're here for a blink of an eye. Everything you have is going to burn. You're not taking anything you have with you to heaven. What does it matter?
Amen.
He's like, I just want you to do what you said you wanted to do at the beginning of your walk, and just do whatever I asked you and go wherever I asked you to go. And I'm like, I think about, because he's really kind of taking sports out of my life, which has been a scary prayer because I love sports, so I never wanted to go away. But I haven't really cared or watched it much in the last few weeks, and God's kind of just, shifted my attention in a different way, which I'm very thankful for. But I'm like, if life ends in 5 years, 10 years, tomorrow, like, what's going to be the most important thing in my life? What's going to be the most important thing that I did in my life? Was it things I acquired in my life, possessions, things I did, or is it going to be the work of God that I want? What do I want to be remembered by? What do I want, my life to be defined by?
Amen.
And thinking about Jesus coming back, I'm like, what's Jesus going to find you doing? What is he going to find me doing? What kind of music is he going to find me listening to, or what movie watching, or whatever it may be? What part of my life is Jesus going to find me in? Because I think about a lot of times, what Eli was saying a couple of weeks ago, is, in a sense, basically, like, don't be the guy that doesn't have the oil. Don't be the woman that doesn't have the oil. Don't be the person that should have the oil, that should have had that passion. It didn't have it. And Jesus keep asking, what is the most important thing in your life? Am I getting all your attention? All the attention that he deserves?
Amen.
And it's sobering questions for me, because I'm typing this out and I'm like, I really don't want to say that God's asking me these questions. Because for me, like, it's embarrassing in a sense that God's asking me these things. And I'm like, I don't want to tell anyone about this. But you go back to the Samaritan woman, and Samaritans are basically a mix between Israelites and Assyria. Yeah. Good, thanks, Amelia.
I just went in history
Good looking
course.
out. But they weren't allowed to worship at the temple. They had to worship at the top of the mountain. And yes, they knew God. They worshipped God. But they weren't allowed to worship with the Jews. And that's when God was saying, you're going to worship in spirit and truth. It's not going to matter where you worship, but you're going to worship in spirit and truth. But he's talking to her. And she was a woman who kind of had a knowledge, okay, this is what we do to worship, and this is who we worship. But she had no clue who was talking to her. She had no clue that the God she was supposed to worship was talking to her. And I don't want to ever get to that point where I don't even realize God's offering me something, or God's asking me something, or God's communicating with me.
Amen.
And Jesus telling her that if she knew what he had to offer, the living water he had to offer, she'd be desperate for it. And I think about everything God's done. This is such a remembrance for me, thinking about all that God has done. I'm like, I should be desperate for more of God. I should be not for what he gives me, but because of who he is. Because of what he can do in my life. Because I always say, I read all the stories of David Wilkerson, of George Whitfield, Charles Field, all these people, and I'm like, I want to see God do those things in my life.
Amen.
But I can't when I ignore him. I can't if I kind of put him aside and put other things before him. I can't if I'm too busy doing worthless things. Worthless things that have nothing to do with God don't bring me anything closer to God. And I'm not saying that we should all go to monk school or something. It just, you have to think about what God's done. And God's always saying, you haven't seen anything yet.
That's right.
You haven't seen anything yet. But you're not going to see anything else unless you keep doing this walk. And you keep doing what I'm allowing you to do, what I want you to do, what you want to do. And it reminds me, like, what else in the world matters?
Amen.
You know, I have a great wife, I got a great son, I got a great family, I got a great church family. And people I'm always around, like, what does it matter where I work, what I do, where I live? Because I know God's always, as long as God's with me, what does it matter?
Amen.
What does it matter what we do? Nothing in this world has the same value that Jesus does.
Amen.
Nothing has the same value that he wants, to give us.
Amen.
Leonard Raven always talked about having our eyes on eternity.
Amen.
That the only works that are ever going to last past our deathbed are the works for Christ. The eternal works are the only things that are going to ever last in our life. Nothing we cured, nothing we did for ourselves, nothing's ever going to last past our deathbed. What are we taking to eternity with us? And it's just something. So when I ask you to think about what God's done for you, it's more just, God's done this, but I want to see more.
Amen.
I want to see more amazing things. I want to see more miracles in my life. I want to see what God's capable of doing. Because he's willing to open up the heavens for us. He's willing to provide everything for us. My walk with God, I mean, most of you have always seen it. Most of you know, all of you guys have always taken care of me. I don't always know why. But even for the beginning, CJ's always looked out for me. When I first met him, he's always wanted to teach me stuff. Hey, this is how you prepare, this is how you keep things secure. Your records, retirement. He's always looked out for me.
Amen.
Steve's always looked out for my spiritual life. Carrie spent countless hours on the phone with me. Deb, you and Dory have always treated me like one of your kids. I don't know why, but it's like they just, I was at their house sitting one time. They asked me to house. I'm like, yeah, I'll go stay at your nice house and eat your food for you. And me and Phil watched a movie on the TV, and the TV just pop, and it breaks, and I'm like, oh no. And then I text him and tell him, he's like, all right, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. But it's like, God has always put people in my life that want to take care of me. I'm so thankful for this church. I'm so thankful for the people. Becky and Eric have always taken great care of me too. when I first moved there, Shelly would tell you, they told her if we broke up that she'd have to leave the next day. Every night when I went over for dinner, I got the biggest piece of meat. It wasn't Eric anymore. She gave it to me. And Eric's like, what the heck's going on? Why you But, you know, people always take care of me. All the moms in here have always treated me like one of their kids. Always. Debbie always makes me this amazing bread. But, you know, Sophia's always been one of my best friends. She's like third in line from Carrie. So if Carrie dies, there's Debbie. Then if Debbie dies, there's Sophia. Yeah, I have to have it. I always told Debbie she's my Carrie fill-in. But, you know, there's such a family. I feel so much closer with this family than I do with my actual family.
Mm-hmm.
Now, don't get me wrong. I love my family.
Amen.
But I'm like, I got two of the greatest friends in the world in Philip and KK. People I can always talk to. I got best wife in the world for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what other life is there? What other thing is there in life that I could have better than this? Better than what I finally got to come home to California, and even though it's crazy here. I was telling Sean, I'm like, man, I felt crazy if God didn't ask me to move to California, I'd just pack up and we go back to Alabama and just take everyone with us. But I have such a good life because God's blessed it. Not because of anything I've ever done. I was making a mess of my life before now.
Amen.
But because of what God's done, I have a great life. Amen. I told Craigie like a month ago, I always wanted a little brother. Mm-hmm. And so being able to live with him, Craigie's like filled that role. You know, there's times I want to beat him up, like my brothers did to me. But there's times like, man, I love that little kid. Yeah, so it's going back to what God has done for us and saying, God, I want more. I want to get back to that place where my first love was. I call it the excitement. Like when I first started serving God, all I wanted to do was read. I remember I'd be in the car with that girl all day and I'd tell her to be quiet because I wanted to listen to a sermon. And I was like, but I want that again. I want that passion. I want the desire again. Amen. And only God can give that to us because He's the one that first placed that love in us. Amen. And so we have to continue asking Him to increase it and put it back in its proper place. And